Hello everybody, I'm Pam. Welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to show you the tutorial for how to make a no-sew crochet rose and its stemmed counterpart. So fun fact, I stink at sewing. And so back in 2013 when I made my wedding bouquet, I wanted to include some roses in my bouquet, but I could not for the life of me sew up a rose. Most roses are worked in a strip, just a bumpy strip that you just roll up and sew, and I don't know why, I just could not figure it out. Every time I sewed it, it came out wonky, uneven, and it drove me nuts. And so out of desperation, I developed this pattern for a no-sew crochet rose. And I love how this turned out because one, when you're done, you're done. You don't have to sew anything. This is worked in one continuous piece. And two, it has a flat back to it. So attaching this to all kinds of projects is really simple. Recently, I came back and revisited this pattern, made some modifications for improvements that I felt it needed back late 2022, beginning of this year, 2023. While doing so, I developed it into a stemmed version. So without further ado, let me show you how I made these. So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using a 5mm H-hook and some worsted weight yarn. This here is big twist yarn in the light rose color. So we're going to begin this pattern with a simple slip knot. And then we're going to chain 6. Then we're going to slip stitch to the first chain to form a ring. Now we've got a ring. Now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. And we're going to find the chain opposite, so like the third chain, 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch into the third chain on the other side. And you'll end up with this really funny ring with a line in the middle. Now we're going to chain 3, which is going to count as our first double crochet. And double crochet 16 times. 8 double crochets in each half. So yes, it's 8 times on each side. This does count as our first double crochet, but we want to have 17 stitches when we're done this round. So we're going to double crochet 8 times over here. Eight on this side, and then working on the other side of the ring, 8 more. 16 double crochets and your chain 3 for 17 stitches total. 3, ooh, getting a little taut. So I'm at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then it's just a slip stitch to the top of your chain 3. So here's the top of the chain 3, slip stitch to join. You should have 17 stitches around, which is an odd number, and it should be 8 on either side of this thing with your oddball chain 3 up top. Next, the pattern says to chain 1 and single crochet around 17 times, but do not join. So starting in this stitch, single crochet 17 times. So after you've crocheted around 17 times, do not join. You're just going to immediately move into round 4, which is going to involve a series of front post double crochets and chain 1s in between. You're going to be working in all of these posts of round 2. You're going to start with immediately doing a front post double crochet in the chain 3 of round 2. and then chain 1. And you're going to skip a post and work in the next post, and you're just going to keep doing this until you've gone around twice and used up all the posts. So we're going to front post double crochet, chain 1, skip a stitch, and front post double crochet in the next one, chain 1, skip a stitch, front post double crochet in the next one, chain 1. Also, sorry if my voice sounds funny because allergies are really bad right now. Skip a post and do a front post double crochet in the next post, chain 1, skip a post and do a front post double crochet in the next post. Why am I stuck? What am I stuck on? Whoops. Skip a post, front post double crochet in the next post, chain 1, skip a post, front post double crochet in the next post, chain 1, skip a post, front post double crochet in the next post, and you'll notice you're back to the beginning basically. There's your chain 3 post where you worked your first front post double crochet. And so now you're still going to be skipping a post because you're skipping the one you already worked in, and we're going around again in all of the ones that we skipped. So go into this front post that we had skipped, chain 1, go into this front post we had skipped, do a front post double crochet, chain 1, go into this front post we had skipped with a front post double crochet, chain 1, go into this one we skipped, chain 1, go into this one we skipped, chain 1, front post double crochet into this one we skipped, chain 1, go into this one we skipped. Okay, baby, you need to take a nap. Chain 1. Yes. And you'll see at this point, here's our first one, right there, and here's where we started coming around again. So you can tell you're done when you are about 3 stitches over from this line facing up, and you can see here we've got 3 layers starting right here. There's your first one into the chain 3. And we're back around. So we've used all of our posts at this point, and we should be kind of slightly offset by about 3 stitches over from the center post. If that makes sense. That might have just confused you more, and if it did, I'm sorry. At this point, you're going to put 5 double crochets into the center chain 2. So this very center here, we've done a chain 1. Don't forget your chain 1 after your last front post double crochet. And then we're going to double crochet into this center 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, need more slack, 4, and 5. So when you're done row 4, you'll have some goofy looking thing that looks like this. It's like this odd spiral. This is what makes it so you don't have to sew your rows at the end. Row 4 ends with a chain 1 turn, and now you're ready for row 5. This is the point where if you're doing a stemmed rows, you're going to want to go to the second page of the pattern and start from there. And if you are just doing a plain old flat back rows without a stem, you would just finish off row 5 like on the first page of the pattern. So this is just going to be the regular rows itself without a stem. So this will be the continuation on page 1 of the pattern. So it's going to start with 3 double crochet in the very first stitch. So this stitch right here, 3 double crochet right in that very first stitch. So 1, 2, 3. Then you're going to single crochet in the next stitch. Then you're going to do 2 double crochet 2 times. So into the next stitch, 2 double crochet, That's once. And then into the next stitch, 2 double crochet. That's twice. And then in the next stitch, whoop, which is this stitch here, you're going to single crochet. So this is what you should have so far. Now if you look, you're going to notice we're going to have those series of chain 1 spaces in between those front posts that we, double crochets that we made, and we're going to be starting to work into these chain 1 spaces. Into the next chain 1 space, we are going to single crochet, 4 double crochet, and single crochet into that chain 1 space. So single crochet, then double crochet 4 times. 1, 2, I know that was ugly. 3, 4, into that 1 space, and then single crochet in the same space again. All into that chain 1 space. And you're going to do that collectively 3 times, so we have to do it 2 more times. So going into the next chain 1 space here, single crochet, 4 double crochet, 2, 3, 4, and then single crochet in that same space again. That's the second one. I know, it's kind of hard to see. That's the second one. We're going to do it one more time. So into the next chain 1 space, single crochet, double crochet 4 times. I know, some of my double crochets get kind of ugly when I've got stringy yarn. And then single crochet in that chain 1 space too. Now the pattern, you're going to see a bunch of big brackets, and it seems overwhelming, but the reason it looks like that is because at this point you're going to be working a petal over the course of 2 chain spaces. So the first half of the petal goes in 1 chain space, the next half of the petal goes in the next chain space, and then that whole series of stitches for these 2 gets repeated collectively 4 times. So for this next one, we're going to, into the first chain 1 space, single crochet, double crochet, and then triple crochet, or treble crochet, some call it, 2 times. Whoops. 1. Ooh, that one was ugly. 2. And then into the next chain 1 space, we are going to do basically the opposite. 2 triples, a double, and a single. So 2 triples into the next chain 1 space. 1 double, and 1 single. So this is what the whole sequence looks like, and this will be done collectively 4 times. So we have to repeat this 3 more times. So into the next chain 1 space goes the first half of the petal. That's a single crochet, a double crochet, and 2 triples. What happened, baby? Yeah, you were on the stairs and you don't belong on the stairs. Sorry about that. And then into the next space, we're going to do the opposite. 2 triples, a double, and a single. I'm steady losing my voice. Guess today wasn't a really good day to do this. So that's our second big petal. We're going to do this 2 more times. Single. Whoopsies. Double. Two triples. Into the next chain 1 space, 2 triples. A double, and a single. We're going to do that one more time. Go into the next chain space, single crochet, double crochet, 2 triples, into the next chain 1 space, 2 triples, a double, and a single. So now we've got 4 big petals. Now we're going to repeat this sequence 3 more times, but instead of 2 triple crochets, we're going to do 3 triple crochets. So into the next chain 1 space, to a single crochet, a double crochet, and then 3 triples instead of 2. And into the next one, we're going to do 3 triples. A double, and a single. And then we're going to do this 2 more times. So into the next space, single, double, and 3 triple, and into the next chain 1 space, the opposite, 3 triple, whoops, 3 triple, a double, and a single crochet. Now we're going to do that one more time. You'll notice if you did this right, you should have 2 chain 1 spaces left. And so we're going to do this one more time into this last chain or into these last 2 chain 1 spaces. So single, double, 3 triples, and into the last chain 1 space, 3 triples, a double, and a single. So these, you've got 3 slightly bigger flower petals here. So now we're going to work our final 3 petals into these remaining stitches, and it starts with a repeating sequence. So into this next stitch, put a single crochet and a double crochet, and then put 2 triples into the next, each of the next 4 stitches. So 2 in this one, 2 in the next one, 2 in the next one, and 2 in the 4th one. So we'll have 4 sets of 2 triple crochets. And into the next stitch, we're going to do a double and a single into this one stitch. Double crochet and single crochet in the same stitch. And we're just going to repeat that 2 more times to fill up these remaining stitches. So into the next stitch, do both a single and a double, into that one space. We're going to do 2 triples 4 times. Sorry if you hear that weird piano. That's my toddler. My grandmother gave it to me, and she's like, I'm really sorry in advance for all the noise she'll make. I'm like, that's okay. I'd honestly rather listen to the piano play, even if it's a clunky, weird-sounding piano, than listen to kids screaming and bickering and fighting. Quite literally music to my ears comparably. So how many do we've got here? We've got 1, 2, 3. We need to do 2 more triples 1 more time. So into this stitch, put 2 triples. And then into the next stitch. Sorry, I've got the sunlight following me and I keep trying to run away from it. Into the next stitch, we're going to put a double and a single. Whoop, I'm snagged. There. So then we're just going to repeat that sequence 1 more time, and you should have basically enough stitches left to do that. So into this next stitch, single and a double. Whoops. And then 2 triples 4 times. And then into this stitch here, we're going to put a double and a single. So double crochet, single crochet, and that's it. I like to just kind of go into here and sort of do a slip stitch and make a knot and tie. So just cut, tie a knot. You can fish in your tails if you want. And then you've got a nice flat back. Honestly, you don't even have to stitch this on anything if you want. You can be lazy and use like fabric hot glue or something. Put a big fat bead of that around and stick it on something. I've done that before. This is such a nice addition to things, and having the flat back means that you could even make this like a pin or something so it can be removable. Or you can add it to clothes or something just to add a little flair. You can add this to a headband, you know, whatever. But that's how you make these roses. Now let me show you how to modify this if you're going to attach this to a stem and make this a stemmed rose. So to do the stemmed version, first of all, you're going to have to repeat the pattern up to the end of row 4. So you should end up back to this point where you've got this like spiral thing going on. Another thing is you're also going to need some green yarn, a little bit of polyfill, and a dowel rod. I found these at Dollar Tree. They're like a 1/4 inch diameter dowel rods. They're about 6 inches long, but about a 1/4 inch diameter is perfect for this application. But first we're going to do the rose. And so repeat the rose pattern on page 1 up to row 4 and then go to page 2 and continue. You'll notice that pretty much the only difference between row 5 in the regular standard rows that we just did and the rows that we're about to do is that this final row is actually going to be worked in back loops only so that we can create a bottom to the rows in the remaining loops. So I apologize if this seems redundant because it's all going to be the same basically as before. So just like before, you do the chain 1 turn, and row 5 starts with 3 double crochet in that very first stitch. You don't skip a stitch here, you double crochet right into that very first stitch. So 3 double crochet into the very first stitch, and then single crochet in the next stitch, then 2 double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2 is 1, 1, 2 is 2, and then single crochet in the next stitch, and it should be the last stitch before you start in your chain 1 spaces. So into that stitch there, single crochet. And now we're going to be working in the chain 1 spaces. into this whole stitch, we're going to put a single crochet, 4 double crochet, single crochet. So 2, 3, 4, and single, all in that one spot. And there's one. We're going to do that collectively 3 times. So going into the next chain 1 space, single crochet, 4 double crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then single crochet in that same space. There's the second one. And we're going to do that one more time. So into the next one, single crochet, 4 double crochet, whoopsies, 2, 3, 4, and single crochet. So there's your 3 petals into the chain 1 spaces. Then we're going to do our next set of petals that take up 2 chain 1 spaces. So the first set is going to be into the first chain 1 space, single crochet, double crochet, and 2 triples, all into that first chain 1 space. And then into the next chain 1 space, the opposite, 2 triples, a double, and then a single. And that whole sequence, you're going to repeat that 3 more times, and then have collectively done it 4 times altogether. So single, double, 2 triples. There's 1, 2. What, baby? And then 2 triples into the next chain 1 space. A double, and then a single. So we're going to do that 2 more times. It's another one. We're going to do this one more time. Alright, so there's our 4 big petals. Now we're going to do 3 more petals like in the same manner, but with 3 triples instead of 2. So single crochet, double crochet, and 3 triples into 1 chain space. Why are you climbing up my filing cabinet? That's not a ladder. And then 3 triples in the next chain 1 space, followed by a double and single, all in that next chain 1 space. Get down off there. No. Excuse me. Funny. It's funny. Funny. I do need to get you something to climb on, because you like to climb. And you do a really good job climbing. It's just unfortunate it's always on things you shouldn't be climbing on. So there's one of those big petals. We're going to do that again. This is the second big petal. So single, double, 3 triples. And then 3 triples, double, and then a single. then a double, and then a single. And we're going to do that one more time. You should have 2 chain 1 spaces left if you did this right. Yeah? Father? I don't understand. And then into the last chain 1 space, 3 triples. I let go of my hook. A double and a single. Alright, now's where things start to get different. So you're going to be working these final 3 petals exactly the same way stitch composition wise, but they're going to be worked in the back loops only. So in these back loops, right there. So we're going to start in the back loop of the next stitch with a single crochet and a double crochet in that back loop. And then 2 triple crochets in the back loops of the next 4 stitches. And then into the next stitch, working again in just the back loops, do a double crochet and then a single crochet in that same stitch. And then just repeat. So again, just in back loops, single and double in 1 stitch. Two triples 4 times. And then into the back loop of the next stitch, both a double and a single crochet. We're going to repeat that sequence one more time, staying in the back loops only, single and then double into 1 stitch. That's a half double, whoops. And then 2 triple crochet 4 times. And into this next stitch, both a double and a single in the back loop of that stitch. Chain 1 after you do that last stitch and turn. We're going to be working in the back loops that we skipped. From here on, we're going to be working amigurumi style, so in continuous rounds. So we won't be joining as we go at this point. We'll just be kind of working. And you're going to start in the stitch that you just worked into with a single crochet, and put 1 single crochet in each of these loops around, and it should be 18. So it's helpful to count to make sure you have the right number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of trying to push these petals out of the way, 7, whoopsies, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So you can see we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. And you go, wait a minute, where am I supposed to put that last one? If you need to, just sort of make a spot for it. So I'm going to work, see this kind of space in between there? I'm going to put one right here. Just find a kind of spot in there where it brings you back to where you were at. You just want to make sure you have 18 stitches going around. And again, don't join because we're just going to be working continuously. So just work it so you've got 18 stitches. You might have to plug that 18th one just kind of in there somewhere, but make sure you have 18. The next row we're going to be starting in the first single crochet we made, and we're going to single crochet 2 together and then single crochet in the next stitch, and we're going to do that 6 times. So to single crochet 2 together, go into the first stitch, draw up a loop, into the next stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2, and then just single crochet into the next stitch, and that's once. Now we're going to repeat that 5 more times. Now something some people do when they're working amigurumi style is actually just work just 1 single crochet through both front loops of the next 2 stitches. And if that sounds too confusing, just do a typical single crochet 2 together. But you can just go and grab the front loop of the next stitch and the front loop of the following stitch, draw up a loop, and yarn over, pull through 2, and it ends up with like a seamless single crochet 2 together. It looks really nice, and that's what I like to do. And then single crochet in the next stitch. Again, just grab the front loops of both of the next 2 stitches and work it like a single crochet. That's a 3rd one. Here's the 4th one. And we're going to do it a 5th time, so single crochet 2 together, however you'd like. And then single crochet after the single crochet 2 together. And then do it 1 more time. And then single crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to put a little bit of polyfill in here, just enough to help it keep its shape. You only need a tiny bit. I'm talking like this amount, like that's enough. Like that might even be too much. Just enough to help it keep its shape. So stuff it with a little polyfill. And then we're going to single crochet 2 together 6 times. Now again, I do it by working in the front loops. You just grab the front loops of the next 2 stitches and work a single crochet. And it looks really tidy. So that's how I do my single crochet 2 together. This is the 3rd one. Front loop. Front loop. Single crochet. Whoops, I'm standing on my yarn. Front loop. Front loop. Single crochet, front loop, single crochet, front loop, single crochet. So you're basically doing it until you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches left around. And at this point you can cut and tie your yarn. You don't need a huge tail for this, and I like to just stuff that tail in and let it become part of the project. Now, before we continue, we are going to have to make some what's called sepals. So if you ever wonder It's either sepals or sepals. I think they're pronounced sepals. So if you're ever wondering what those weird leafy things on the bottom side of a rose are called, that's what they're called. I did not know that. Now this is when having the green yarn comes in. So this is just I think it's like Red Heart tea leaf or something like that. Tea leaf green. Something like that. Start with a simple slip knot. And we're going to do chain 6. And join to form a ring. Next, you're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're going to slip stitch 2 times. Now, I slip stitch differently than a lot of people, and how you do it could be important because it can change the width of your slip stitch. I do it between the front and back loop and under the bottom loop, and it stacks the slip stitch on top. So starting in the second chain from the hook, slip stitch 2 times. Then single crochet 2 times. So 1, 2, and then single crochet into the ring. There's one little leaf. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Slip stitch twice and starting in the second chain from the hook. Single crochet 2 times. 1, 2, and then single crochet into the chain ring, into the center ring. And you're going to repeat that 4 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2 slip stitches. 1, 2 single crochets, and then single crochet into the center ring. For the record, I say to do this in a way that you end up with 6 sepals, but roses actually only have 5. So if you are really, really worried about your rose being anatomically correct, you only need to do this so that you end up with 5 leaves. But if you don't care, I kind of like the look better of 6, and so I generally do 6, 4, 5, slip stitch twice, single crochet twice, and then single crochet into the ring. And see, here is 5 sepals. And if I wanted to be done with that, I could actually be done with that and leave it be. But I like like I said, I like the look of 6. Like, you can kind of stretch this around to even it out and have just 5. I like the look better of 6. So I do 6, even though roses only have 5 sepals. So chain 5. Starting in the second chain from the hook, slip stitch 2 times. Single crochet twice. And then single crochet into the center ring. And then we're going to do a slip stitch into the center ring to finish. And you're going to cut, leaving yourself approximately 1 foot of yarn per inch of dowel. So I have a 6-inch dowel. I want to leave myself about a 6-foot tail of yarn, and that sounds like a ton, and it is. And honestly, the easiest way for me to measure this is I am approximately 5.5 feet tall, and I find that my arm span, because your arm span is your height, and so I just run the yarn, my arm span. Let me actually show you. So, for instance, me, I'm 5.5 feet tall. So my arm span is the length of my height, right? So I just pull enough yarn for my arm span, and I know I have approximately 5.5 feet, which is enough for this application. So I'm going to snip the yarn about right there and just kind of pull it all the way through. And so there's our sepals with a nice long tail. So I guess what I should have mentioned, and I always forget, is it's a good idea when you're about to start your sepals to get your hot glue gun plugged in, because you're going to need that for assembly. Okay, so I've got my hot glue gun and my stick, but we're going to start with the rose head. So you got to work a little bit fast with hot glue, but what we're going to do is put some hot glue on the tip and then kind of insert it into that hole and swirl as we insert. So we're going to put some hot glue along the top in abundance. And we're going to insert the hot glue stick in and kind of swirl until it catches. And there we go. Next, what we're going to do is slide our sepals on, making sure that the pretty side is facing us and the string out in a way. So what we're going to do is take some hot glue and apply it liberally to the base of the rose. And slide the sepals down onto there and press them in. And just kind of hold it until it's in place. And then if you want, what you can do, make sure your string stays up out of the way. And one thing to help make sure this all stays in place is to go through and in those spaces there, I like to add just a little bit of hot glue to the sepal. Kind of press it up against the rose a bit. And let it kind of come off a little bit. Some of them I let hang down more than others. But basically go through and add a blob of glue to the base of the sepal leaf and just attach it where I want on the rose. So I might add like a little bit there on this one. Press that up. And what it's going to do is help anchor your rose even more to the stick. So next we're going to wrap, let me push this out a little bit. Say hello to my button fern. Next, we're going to wrap the dowel rod with this yarn, and so we're just going to apply a little hot glue in sections and work section at a time and spin it. The first part's kind of easy because we're just going to put a line of hot glue there, and then bring that up near the top and slowly spin it and work our way down. And then we're going to repeat that, add another section of glue, and sort of spin it down, kind of holding the yarn kind of taut, making sure we're not creating gaps, and work another section. And that's how you make the stemmed version of the rose. And we just kind of shape it, and ta-da, a stemmed rose. So that's how I made them. I love these for all kinds of projects, headbands, hats, purses, just anything. I hope I went slow enough and was clear enough for you to follow and understand. If you would like to purchase the pattern is in my Etsy shop for Goodness Keepsakes. When Google stops giving me issues about my account, I will post the link in the description box. In the meantime, you can find the name of the shop there. So anyways, I hope you found this tutorial helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more stuff. So thank you so much for watching and have a blessed day. Ooh.